Terry Collins and the Mets yesterday had one sweet day. Zach Wheeler pitched great. Eric Campbell hit a home run. And the Mets are on bended knee hoping for another day like yesterday as they try and make it the end of the road for the Cubs. At Citi Field in New York, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball tonight. The Mets play the Chicago Cubs. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets play the second game of their four-game series against the Cubs. You know, the Mets have struggled for offense a good portion of the year. We probably have not said it enough this year, the terrific year that Daniel Murphy is having with the bat, but I think it needs accentuation. He has just been tremendous.
Well, he's been the most consistent player for the Mets this year offensively. In the top 10 in hitting, you see leading the league by 9 in hits, the National League with 151. First-time All-Star, congratulations. And the doubles have been coming in groves. So he has just been having a terrific year. But one of the big things is I think he's a lifetime 278 hitter against left-handers. This year, hitting 293, way above, and that's been a big reason. He stayed away from the prolonged slumps. He's had a couple little spells where he hasn't hit, but he's righted the ship right away. He's been very, very consistent.
On the mound for the Mets tonight is John Neese, and Neese snapped a personal 4-game losing streak his last time out against the Phillies.
Well, he certainly did, and he didn't have his great stuff in Philadelphia. He really battled through those 7 innings. That's what impressed me the most, the 5 hits, the 3 walks. He was in trouble and pitched out, and going 7. He hasn't fared very well against the Cubs over his career record, 2-4 with an ERA over 5.
On the other side, Dan Strelly, former Oakland Athletic, makes his debut for the Cubs.
Well, he was part of the Samardzija trade in July. Last year for Oakland, he won 10 ball games. Started the season with Oakland, didn't fare very well for him, got sent down. Spent most of the year in AAA. Well, they've called him up here for a start to fill kind of a void in their rotation. It's a big opportunity for him.
So it's the Mets and Cubs, game 2 of this 4-game set. Boys to Men in concert after the game at Citi Field. Mets and Cubs, all the action coming your way on Pix 11. Honda dealer. Hurry into your local Tri-Honda dealer for great deals on the 2014 models. By Verizon, introducing Verizon Fios Quantum TV, redefining what TV can be. That's powerful. By Toyota, the annual clearance event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. By the New York Lottery, hey, you never know. By Nissan, gets a Nissan's bottom line event today. Shop ChooseNissan.com. And by TD Bank, America's most convenient bank. Get to Citi Field tomorrow for Family Sunday when the Mets take on the Cubs at 1:10 p.m. The first 15,000 fans will receive a Mets batting practice cap, courtesy of Gulf. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Family Sundays. Keys to the Game brought to you by John DeMarsico and your Tri-State Kia retailers.
Johnny is always very, very thematic. The Bruins, the Bears, 76 quality starts, they have a right to bear arms, absolutely. It's in the Second Amendment. Bearing down, 9 of 13 one-run games they've won, and the strikeouts, well, we saw it last night. A lot of swing and misses last night.
Cubs have been tamed so far this year. Mets will try and make it 2 straight over Chicago. John Neese set to throw the first pitch, and that is coming right up. The year coming off a victory in his last start in Philadelphia. Here's the starting lineup he'll face, brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Cubs struck out 14 times last night, 91 times in their last 8 games, but they've got some young talent in Baez and Rizzo and Castro and Alcantara, and the Cubs are on the rise, although there's 17 games under 500 this year, and John Neese will try and keep them down tonight.
Well, yet another Met pitcher that's trying to get back to 500, a season that really started out really brightly for John, and then went down with the injury to the shoulder before the All-Star break, and in the 4-game losing streak after that. Well, he's 2 away from getting it back to 500, and I'm sure he'd like to get there. And we'll take a look at the defense, and this is brought to you by Geico. 50 minutes could save you 50% or more on your car insurance. Dendecker back in the lineup in left field with the right-hander out there, and Flores will continue to play. Darno behind the plate. So really the only platoon going on right now in this lineup is defense is in left field. Everybody else is pretty much every day.
Well, that platoon paid off last night. Eric Campbell hit a 3-run homer for the only Mets runs.
Where's the logo?
No, wait a second. He's out of uniform.
Could that be considered out of uniform?
Well, the Cubs have a C on the front of their helmets, but Chris Coughlin, who should have a C, after all, his first and last names start with C, is missing his C. Javier Baez has his C, but Coughlin is without.
I've never seen that.
So the evening begins on a curious note. C-less.
At sea.
Very nice. Chris Coghlan was a hot hitter coming into this series, went 0 for 3 last night. Earlier this season, he jump-started his year against the Mets by hitting a home run against Josh Edgin to tie a game in Chicago, and he's hit well against lefties ever since. In fact, he's hitting .333 now against lefties this season, so he'll stay in the leadoff spot against Nice tonight. And John's first pitch of the ball game is outside, and we're underway. Coghlan, Baez, and Rizzo for the Cubs. Coghlan hitting at .282 for the year. And he takes one at the knees for a strike, 1-1. He's 6-8 on the year, 3.46 ERA. Better here at Citi Field, where he's been 2.89 with his earned run average. Javier Baez, the on-deck batter, then Anthony Rizzo for the Cubs.
Coghlan's had a bit of a resurgence this season for the Cubbies.
National League Rookie of the Year 5 years ago with Marlins, and really had struggled in the ensuing seasons. And the curveball from Nice misses, 2-2. John's just been a little bit off since he came back from the disabled list. Usually has had the one bad inning jump up and bite him. One thing that's been consistent this year, and it didn't seem to matter early in the season, as he knocks down the comebacker, scrambles after it, low throw, and it skips by Duda. And Coghlan is safe. Duda having to reach into the runner and unable to snag that low throw. And they'll charge an error on Nice on the opening play of the game.
Ball hit sharply up the middle, knocks it down with his glove. And just came across his body too much there. Tough chance. Into the runner, always a little bit dicey for the first baseman. Got his glove, he just didn't make the play.
Terry Collins came out briefly with the trainer Ray Ramirez to see if Nice was okay, and he's just fine. That's got to be a tough play for a first baseman, Keith, to know when to get in and out with that glove to avoid getting hurt.
Well, sometimes you got to take one for the team. I actually, when I was 18 years old, Gary, the next to the last day of spring training, on a swinging bunt down the third base line, I had my ulna broken on my glove hand, because the throw was from the third baseman coming in like David Wright always does, barehanded, and the throw was into the line, and the timing was perfect. When I caught the ball, I got kicked by the point of the foot of the spike, the toe part, right on my forearm. For those of you who don't know what the ulna is, it's one of the two bones, the radius in the ulna in your forearm. Well, the ulna, it broke my ulna, and I was out for 8 weeks.
Anthony Rizzo on deck behind Javier Baez, who went 1 for 4 last night. And the curveball bounced foul. Baez has hit the ground running in the big leagues as far as hitting for power, but he's also been swinging very wildly and striking out at times.
Well, he struck out twice last night, got a base hit. He reminds me a lot of Julio Franco, but Julio Franco unchained. Takes a huge swing and swings it. You can kind of go up and down the ladder at him. And he's fished for a lot of bad breaking balls last night.
Just doesn't seem as though you need to throw by as a strike right now. He's struck out 19 times, no walks in 49 big league at bats. And he throws the curve and he hits one to David Wright that eats him up, and the Mets make back-to-back errors to open the night. If Wright handles that cleanly, it's every chance for a double play. Instead, after an E1, an E5, and the Mets put themselves in an early difficult spot.
In between hop for David, and really didn't have a chance to pull back or come forward. The ball was hit too hard, so you got to stay in front like he did, and it just came up, hit the heel of his glove.
So a rather uneven defensive start for Terry Collins' team, and now John Nice has a situation to try and work through against one of the best power hitters in baseball, and Anthony Rizzo. Rizzo 0 for 3 last night, 27 home runs, second in the National League behind Giancarlo Stanton. Starlin Castro, the cleanup hitter, on deck. Rizzo, top 10 in the league in on-base percentage, top 10 in slugging percentage, just having a terrific year, his best in the big leagues by far.
And much like Daniel Murphy, he's hitting left-handers this year, Gary. It's been the big difference. 27 home runs, 8 against lefties, and hitting .306.
Yeah, hitting over 300 against lefties. That's a big change for Rizzo, who struggled against lefties last year. So Neese finding himself in an early hole to try and dig out of. And now he throws a strike to Rizzo, 2-1.
Well, Rizzo, if you notice, folks, he's very close to the plate, and that's something that he did this year. It's an adjustment that he made, and it's made a world of difference. Another hitter way back in the box, Gare.
Back and close. Out to left center. Lagares over in the gap, and he runs it down. Tagging at second is Coghlan. The throw goes to second, and Coghlan advances. That's the first out of the night.
Well, 2 nice plays there by Lagares and Coghlan on the bases. Lagares does not accept the bait. Keep the double play in order. And as far as Coghlan's concerned, you know this is Del Monte, especially with that guy out there. You saw him just before the guy on the pitcher already breaking back. And you saw it in the 2 box, excuse me. So good base running and good throw in, good defensive choice by Juan.
That was pretty good. In that one comment, you managed to work in a baseball saying, Del Monte, which is short for can of corn,
right?
And a TV expression, 2 box.
Oh,
that's very nice.
I'm learning.
You're just well versed on all fronts. Here's Starlin Castro, and he takes a changeup for a strike.
So you may think that I'm not listening to you all the time, but I'm on everything that you say.
Well, that's not from me. I didn't teach you 2 box. That came from our esteemed director. After 41 Emmys, he's figured that stuff out, and Castro nearly swinging out of his socks on that changeup, and it's 0-2.
Well, this is what you get from the Cubs. They're really undisciplined. And this is a young man. Oh, nice change. And this is a young man that, you want to go the other way. You get the runner in. Put the ball in play.
Don't often see Neese double up his changeup, and he throws the fastball up and away, 1-2. Justin Ruggiano hitting 5th in the order, waiting on deck. Neese needing a strikeout or a double play here.
Don't have to throw this guy a strike. Ahead in the count.
Double play ball right to Murphy. And Flores turns it over, and the Mets handle that cleanly. And after a couple of errors, Neese finds his way out of first inning trouble. 2 errors, no runs. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the first with no score. Brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Dendecker back in left field. Otherwise, the same unit that went out there last night. As the Mets face 25-year-old Dan Straley making his Cubs debut.
Well, in that big trade for Samardzija with Oakland in July, and most of the year in AAA, started with Oakland. He's an off-speed, kind of breaking ball control type pitcher.
Curtis Granderson will lead it off for New York. It's been a struggle for Curtis, just 1 for his last 22. Seeing his average dropped to 222 on the year. Granderson, Murphy, and Wright in the opening inning against Straley, who made 7 starts for Oakland to begin the year. Had trouble with the home run ball. 9 home runs in 38 big league innings this year. And he misses high with his first pitch to Granderson. Granderson, Murphy, and Wright in the first inning for the Mets. And Curtis pops one up. Back comes Castillo for a look, but that's in the crowd. 1-1.
Well, Granderson has slumped. Duda has kind of slowed down. David Wright has had a hitting streak as Granderson fouls it off, but hasn't been like on a red hot tear. He's managing to get his hits, and when you got those guys that are struggling, it's going to be hard to score runs.
1-2 from Straley, and that one kicks away. Changeup.
Barely gets a piece of that.
And Straley gets him on a high fastball. That's 111 strikeouts for Granderson this year, and that's the first out.
Well, you knew with Curtis coming in, he was going to strike out around 120, 30 times. And we'll take a look at the Geico defense. 15 minutes could save you 50% or more on your car insurance. Alcantara in center field. He's one of the youngsters. Also Baez, one of the recent call-ups at second base. Castro is mere 24 years of age. Rizzo's very young. It's a very young Cub team on the rebuild.
Well, here's Murphy leading the National League in base hits with 151. Takes it wide. Daniel 1 for 4 last night. Also has 33 doubles, which is tied for 4th in the league. Straley doesn't throw hard. He has got to be all about location. David Wright waiting on deck. Straley is here basically for one start, and he's been told that they wanted to push everybody else in the Cubs rotation back a day just to give them an extra rest. Jake Arrieta pitches tomorrow. Kyle Hendricks goes on Monday, and they needed to fill a spot, so they actually went even shorter on the bench tonight to call up Straley. The Cubs are going with only 3 bench players. They've got an 8-man bullpen. They've got an extra starter, so only 3 guys left on Rick Renteria's bench.
I've never seen that before.
Not in the National League game, anyway. Probably only for a day. They'll send Straley back after tonight's game in all probability. And Murphy is down in the high fastball, so Straley with back-to-back strikeouts to start his night.
Well, Murph, very rarely do you see Murph, and we talked about him being so disciplined on the open. Very rarely do you see him chase. Nice little sun view, a reflection off the front office there. It's always this time of year, you know, when you start getting that reflection off the front office there at sunset, before sunset, that it's late in the season.
Here's David Wright. Had his 13-game hitting streak stopped last night when he went 0 for 3. And he lifts one out to right. Should be easy for Ruggiano. And Straley has himself a 1-2-3 opening inning. On to the second we go with no score. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Dimension Films and Sin City, A Dame to Kill For, in theaters everywhere Friday. Gonna have to go watch the movie just to see what that title means. Justin Ruggiano leads off the second and swings through a high fastball from John Neese.
The movie that I want to see, it's getting a lot of play right now, a lot of talk, is The Giver. It's just been released with Jeff Bridges and Meryl Streep. I have read an article about it. It seems like it could be a very interesting film.
Any film with those two.
Oh, yeah.
And Neese makes quick work of Ruggiano. 3 pitches, and he's down on strike.
These hitters are chasing the high hard one tonight, aren't they? 2 Mets have struck out on the high hard one, and now Ruggiano joins. Oh, he's out of the box. Look at his back foot. You could have made an issue with that.
1 out and nobody on. Now Arizmendi Alcantara. I would think that the Mets would be sensitive to that, a hitter being out of the batter's box with the number of whacks that Travis d'Arnaud has taken this year, including one last night when he got smashed on the left arm by Javier Baez. Alcantara 0 for 4 last night. He's a shortstop who's found a home in center field. Nubbed out in front of the plate for Neese to field. And quickly there are 2 out. The Cubs certainly have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to middle infielders, with Castro, an established veteran now, and Baez just up, and Alcantara, who's a shortstop playing center field, and maybe the best of the bunch, Addison Russell, who they picked up in that trade with Oakland. He's playing in Double-A.
Well, they've had the new Theo Epstein, who brought the Boston Red Sox to the promised land. Wouldn't that be a nice little another crown for him? That would be incredibly awesome.
I think the question is, when you have that kind of abundance at one position, and the Mets are going through this too. They have all these potential starting pitchers who are bubbling up through the system or already here. Do you trade from strength, or do you keep that abundance and make it work for you? Well, in the Cubs case, like they've moved Alcantara to center field, they might move somebody to third base or to the outfield to be able to use all those guys.
Well, that's the luxury of.
Flores lays out and makes the one-hop throw on target. Beautiful play.
Well, Flores here getting to play every day, and makes the play here. Makes a very nice play to end the inning.
So Flores with a beauty to help John Neese to a 1-2-3 second. No score at Citi Field.
infielders. Add to that list their slugging third baseman Chris Bryant, who has 40 home runs in the minor leagues this year. So they've got a wealth of talent on its way.
And of the everyday variety, where the Mets have a wash in pitchers. So all the talk has been that they could be, conceivably, the Cubs and Mets could be trading partners.
So this is as much a scouting series as a head-to-head series.
Yeah, and I was going to say before that beautiful play by Flores, Gare, when you were talking about moving players around, when you got a young player, Alcantara in center field is really an infielder. It's the luxury of being a team going nowhere. And you see the shift on Duda, that you can do these things. You can experiment on the big league level.
Well, also, I mean, it's one thing to have an abundance of corner type guys, and if you move them, you might be putting a square peg in a round hole. But when you have a bunch of shortstops who are by nature athletic, I think you have more options in terms of the number of places they might fit.
You certainly would want, you have the opportunity to have a look and see if they can handle it. They'll have the Cubs now. We'll have 2 months of Alcantara in center field and see if he can do it.
We've got another prospect outfielder, Jose Soler, who's on the way, who has been hurt a good portion of the year, otherwise would have been here already. So they're pretty much set as far as what they hope to do position player wise. What they're going to do in the offseason is seek pitching. Now, whether that's veteran pitching or, try to deal with a team like the Mets that has an abundance of younger pitching, it'll be interesting to watch. 3-1 to Duda leading off the second, and he takes outside ball 4. So after Strelly retired the side in order in the first, he issues a leadoff walk in the second. There's part of the Mets' abundance in young pitchers. DeGrom and everybody on that top line already here. Matz and Syndergaard on the bottom line, not yet at the big league level.
And you love them all within that 26 to 21 range, and that's nice to have right there.
By the way, Jake DeGrom, he threw on flat ground today for the first time since they put him on the disabled list with an inflammation in the rotator cuff, and he was just fine. And the plan is for DeGrom to throw a bullpen session tomorrow, which puts him right in line to rejoin the rotation when the Mets get to Los Angeles next weekend.
And Montero will twirl tomorrow, possibly.
Well, he's going tomorrow.
Yep.
Then the question is, does DeGrom just slide right back in that spot? Travis d'Arnaud takes outside, and Straley all of a sudden has lost command of the strike zone.
Not by much. He's right around the plate here. Just missing. Missing with his fastball.
Dendecker on deck. Duda at first and nobody out. And d'Arnaud bounces one slowly. Valleca gets the out at second. The turn by Baez not in time.
Oh, that might get the manager out there.
Will Little, the rookie umpire, making the call at first base, and Rick Renteria wants to know from his bench coach, should I go out and challenge?
It's close. Nice turn at second base by Baez. And that's tight. Let's see. Not a great stretch from Rizzo.
Can't tell on that view. The ball disappeared.
That is, you got to go out and get that ball. This is not a good stretch. Get out there and get it. I think it was a tie base.
Yeah, nothing definitive. Certainly not enough for Renteria to challenge. So it goes as a 5-4 fielder's choice. And d'Arnaud at first with one out for Dendecker.
Well, that's of interest right there, because everybody's talking about Javier Baez and the 4 home runs in the first 11 games.
Dendecker finds the hole, and he's got himself a base hit. First hit of the night for either side, and the Mets have 2 men on.
Well, Dendecker, another guy getting a big audition. Nice hitting, down and in fastball. But getting back to Baez, everybody's talking about his offense and the power and the big swing, but that was a fine turn of a double play right there.
And again, it's a guy who's played shortstop most of his life. They moved him to second base in the minors for a while this year to prepare him for this audition. Here's another former infielder, former shortstop, Juan Lagares, who has made a transition from struggling minor league shortstop to Gold Glove caliber big league outfielder.
Oh.
And Lagares takes the curveball inside.
Another look. Watch the turn. He's got Duda beating down on him hard, and that's a nice turn.
Lagares 1 for 3 last night. He fouls it away.
So we heard that Straley was a bit of a breaking ball pitcher. He hasn't shown it thus far. He's been throwing his fastball. Pretty straight fastball.
Straley had a good rookie year with Oakland last year. Made 27 starts, went 10-8, 3.96 ERA. Good enough that he earned a Game 4 start in the American League Division Series against Detroit. The A's were up 2-1 in that series, and Straley pitched Game 4. He pitched well enough, gave up just 3 runs in 6 innings, and in fact, they scored in the half inning that he left, and he was pitcher of record on the long side. But the Tigers rallied and beat the Oakland bullpen, and then Verlander shut him out in Game 5, and Detroit won the series. But Straley acquitted himself rather well. 2-1 to Lagares, and he drives one out to right field. Ruggiano racing back, and it's over his head, and it goes over the wall. A ground rule double. That'll cost the Mets a run. Darnell will score, but Dendecker will have to go back to third on the ground rule double by Lagares. The Mets take a 1-0 lead in the second inning. 20th double of the year for Juan Lagares.
Well, this ball's hit well, but it's a fly ball. And if you're going to play shallow, and Ruggiano is not Kurt Flood or Juan Lagares, if you're going to play that shallow, this ball can't drop. If that ball drops, and young man, you got to get back, because that's got to be a Del Monte corn right there.
Well, the Mets get a run after the leadoff walk to Duda. Darno scores the first run of the game, brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. Second and third, and 1 out, and Wilmer Flores the batter. Corners are in. The middle infielder's back against Flores, who was 0 for 2 last night.
Very shallow outfield again. Ruggiano and Alcantara in center field.
And Flores gets it off the fist's foul, 1-1.
Well, I got to believe Coughlin is the best outfielder of the trio here. It's not exactly a sparkling defensive outfield out there. It's a big ballpark.
Flores 3 for 7, getting a runner in from third with less than 2 out this year. And now he's behind in the count 1-2. Wilmer, the question about him has always been whether he's a good enough defensive player to play every day at short, but he's still trying to prove he can hit in the big leagues. We haven't seen that yet.
Well, he's really, in Wilmer's defense, he really hasn't had a chance to play every day. It's tough when you're young. My feeling is, physically, is he capable of playing 162?
Straley's already struck out 2 tonight. It's ahead in the count 1-2. And Flores able to lay off. 2-2.
A little bit warmer today, a little more humidity.
Still awfully comfortable for the middle of August.
For August, are you kidding?
You and I don't often come to work dressed in jacket and tie on an August day. And
that's true.
Here we are.
You look spiffy, by the way.
And you too. 2-2 coming. And Flores lays off the slider again. That's 3-2. He got the pitcher Nice on deck. So we'll see what Flores gets on 3-2 here with first base open.
He's got to get the out here.
A run already in. 2 in scoring position for Flores. 3-2 from Straley. And the breaking ball fouled off.
Hanging right there on a tee. Major helicopter. Oh boy, oh boy.
Straley and Castillo working together for the first time. Come to agreement.
And Flores lines one in the left center. That's down for a base hit. Dendecker scores. Lagares scores. A 2-run single for Wilmer Flores, and it's 3-0 New York.
Fastball. Outside corner. No follow through from Wilmer, and that's something that he does, and that's why he doesn't have a lot of pop. Lagares read that perfectly. And nice clutch hitting. And the Mets are getting even here. Remember, they got swept in Chicago earlier this year.
So the Mets have put up 3 here in the bottom of the second. Now John Neese up there to bunt. John has just 2 hits and 2 sacrifices this year. And his second hit of the season in his last start in Philadelphia. So the bottom of the order getting the job done. Lagares with an RBI double. Flores a 2-run single. And now Neese lines the bunt to Valaika. Throw back to first. Almost got away. But Flores back safely. So that's the second out.
Nope. Watch the base. Oh boy, I tell you. Flores got caught going the wrong way, but he got back in time.
So 2 out. Flores still at first. A little scuffed up, but okay. And here's Curtis Granderson, who struck out his first time up. Curveball misses. Ball 1.
Well, number 1, Straley is not getting his secondary pitches over, and he has to come with that straight fastball, which is not overpowering, and that spells nothing but trouble.
He had been struggling in AAA until just recently.
Granderson hits it well out to right center. Alcantara back to the warning track, and a nice catch right at the fence. A shortstop playing center field and made that look pretty easy. Right up against the wall. Alcantara takes an extra base hit away from Granderson. But the first runs of the game brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. Lagares RBI double. Flores 2-run single. 3-0 New York as we go to the third. His souvenir in hand. Nice nail polish too.
Enjoy it while you can. Before you know it, they'll be grown up and out of the house.
John Neese take to a 3-0 lead. Chris Valaika leads off in the third inning. Valaika getting a second straight start at third base. Luis Valbuena, the regular third baseman, has been struggling. Rick Renteria expects Valbuena back in the lineup tomorrow. 1-1 to Valaika, who was 0 for 4 last night and struck out 3 times. Well, Neese made an error. Wright made an error. That was the keynote tonight. Back-to-back miscues by the Mets, but Neese was able to work around that and then pitch a 1-2-3 second.
Those are the things you look for out of a pitcher, Gare.
Another chance for Wright. He handles this one cleanly and throws out Valaika, 1 away.
A lot of times things don't go according to plan. It's how pitchers work to get out of tough innings, and Neese has had his problems in that category. You know, getting out of big innings when they're starting to fall apart. So it's a good sign to see him getting in trouble, not of his own making, and getting out of it.
Now the pitcher Straley, his first plate appearance of the season. He made 7 starts with Oakland, but all in DH games. 0 for 2 in his major league career. He's retired 6 in a row since those opening errors. And Straley takes a strike, 1-1. Figure Neese at this point has 7 starts left after this.
Is 7, yes. So
hoping to finish as strong as he did last year, when he really powered his way down the stretch of the season.
So he's most he can win if he wins the remaining 7 would both 8 would be 14. So set your sights high. Could be done. Doesn't happen every day, but
3-2, and he walks the opposing pitcher. Well, that's not a formula for success. Well, Neese is trying to join some elite company tonight. Only 6 left-handers in Mets history have ever won 50 games for the Mets, and you see them graphically denoted there, led by the great Jerry Koosman.
Well, Kuzi has the most years as a Met. All the Met, even the everyday players, there aren't a lot of Mets that had full careers in a Met uniform.
That's why David Wright's obliterating every mark in the Mets book. Double play ball to Murphy. Flores with the turn, and they double up Coghlan. Second double play of the night for the Mets. Both have gone 4-6-3. That erases the walk to the pitcher. To the bottom of the third we go. 3-0 Mets.
start something special with a great deal on a Honda. Mets upcoming schedule brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealer. Day games tomorrow at 1 and Monday at noon before the Mets fly off to the West Coast to play the A's and the Dodgers, a couple of first place teams. It'll be a challenging road trip for the Mets. That'll be their last trip outside the Eastern time zone this season.
And next year, the Mets, of course, as it swings back, they'll play the American League East. It'll be a much easier schedule. It's always a tough schedule, folks, when the Mets play the AL West. It's just nothing but long, multiple trips out to the West Coast. It's a very rigorous and tiring schedule that year, as it has been this year.
Of course, it's that way for everybody in their division.
Correct.
Because everybody in the National League East is doing the same thing. Nonetheless, it does create a lot more onerous trips. As Murphy fouls off the first offering in the bottom of the third. Murphy struck out his first time up. Murphy righted Duda for the Mets in the third. And the second baseman Baez right in front of it. Throws out Murphy, one away. Straley gets the first out after being tagged for 3 runs in the second. And now David Wright will fly out to right field his first time up.
It's going to be a hard climb for David to drive in 80 runs this year. We're running out of time. What, 39 games left, Gary?
Including tonight.
David sitting on 56.
Well, wherever his RBI total lands, I think what is most startling about David's year has been the lack of power. We talked about it when the Mets first moved here to Citi Field and the effect it had on his home run production. But for him to be in single digits in home runs with less than a quarter of the season to go is rather alarming.
The funny thing is about David is, if you recall, was it last year he got off hot, hitting line drives up the middle, really getting on top of the ball and level swinging, and then he got away from it and started uppercutting, hitting nothing but fly balls.
Gets this one out to center field, and Alcantara back to get it, 2 out.
Well, if you hit fly balls, you got to hit them out of the ball yard if you want base hits. And David, with his hands up high, has just been under everything pretty much all year long.
David came into the year a lifetime .301 hitter. Came into tonight hitting .274. You see his home runs by season. You go back a little further and he hit 30 in 2007 and 33 in 2008. 09 was the year he got hurt and he hit only 10. The year he got hit in the head. So you expect him to hit at least 20. He's not going to get there this year. 1-2-3 inning for Dan Straley in the third. 3-0 as we go to the fourth. Quantum TV. That's powerful. 91 from Nice, 90 from Straley on the FiOS high-speed pitch board tonight. Mets have a 3-0 lead as we go to the 4th. Javier Baez will lead off against Jonathan Nice. Baez hit a double play ball to David Wright his first time up, but it went off the heel of David's glove for an error. The second of back-to-back errors for the Mets in the first inning, but Nice was able to work around that. He's not yet given up a hit. And Baez takes the cutter inside for ball 1. Baez, Rizzo, and Castro 2, 3, and 4 in the Chicago batting order. And that's toward the middle and a base hit for Baez, and the Cubs have their first hit of the night.
Cutter in. I think you're doing him a favor by throwing him a strike, particularly middle in.
I just don't know why right now you would throw him anything in the strike zone.
Fastball's up out of the strike zone, and then the big sweeping curveball that Jonathan has in the dirt.
Here's Anthony Rizzo, and he pounds one foul.
Rizzo bought a big collar last night, and Wheeler just kind of ate him up, and that last at bat against Familia was an overmatch.
Keith, have we ever seen John do that before? Throw a changeup to a left-hand batter?
We have. Not too often.
Came right back with the fastball to get ahead 0-2.
That has been the pitch du jour, monsieur.
Was that your Pepe Le Pew? Very nice. Let me see where Anthony Rizzo has ranked this year. He's had a tremendous season.
Do you think you'd have a little more? I'm not being negative here. 27 RBIs. Think you'd have a little more RBIs? Oh, you almost saw. You think you'd have more with the 27? He came in hitting with runners in scoring position 238 this year, but he has definitely lived up to what the Cubs have said he should be this year. Come into his own.
Started out in the Red Sox organization. Traded to San Diego for Adrian Gonzalez. Traded from the Padres to the Cubs for Andrew Kashner. Starlin Castro on deck. And it's been a linchpin pickup for the Cubs. A guy to build around. And now they've got so much more talent following him, and Rizzo is only 25 in his 4th big league year. 2-2. And it's in the dirt. Darno knocks it down. Full count. Eric Hinsky, stopwatch in hand. Nice has always been hard to run on. See if Baez is running here with 3-2 and nobody out. Not going. And that's inside, ball 4. So Nice, after getting ahead on Rizzo 0-2, loses him to his 2nd walk of the night. And let's do a little bit about that. So now 2 aboard and Starlin Castro coming up. Castro banged into a double play his first time up. The 18th double play he's hit into, which, you know, for a guy with some speed, that's a lot of double plays.
It either means he's hitting the ball very hard or he's not hustling down the line.
Well, the one thing I'll give him, you get a right-hand hitter who swings hard. A lot of times it takes him a while to get out of the box.
Well, one thing's for certain, and he is going to be 25 years old next year, correct? And he's probably going to, he's got over 800 hits, as you mentioned earlier. He's going to hit the 1,000 mark next year if he stays healthy at 25.
Well, he's been able to hit from the beginning, and over 200 hits his first full year in the big leagues. The questions about Castro were about concentration and attitude, and the Cubs have been thrilled with the strides he's made in that area this year.
Doesn't walk, another free swinger.
Popped it up. Lagares coming in to call. And that's the first out of the inning.
It just doesn't seem like we've watched the Cubs now. Now, granted, they're playing the season out, but it just never seems like the team has a whole lot of exuberance when it plays. I know they're out of it. They got what, 40 games left, or a little less than 40, and you're just playing it out. It's tough.
There's Ruggiano, who struck out his first time up. How might that express itself when you really talk about a team not having exuberance?
Maybe it's personalities. You know, a lot of players, a lot of teams today, a lot of players just seem to be laid back today. Look for the pepper pots, like Gardner for the Yankees plays with pep and zip, and he's energetic. I like him. That's why I like him.
Ball and a strike to Ruggiano. Well, the Cubs have had 3 consecutive 90-loss seasons, and if they can play around 500 the rest of the way, they can avoid 90 losses this year. But their focus is completely on the future. They have built up one of the best farm systems in baseball. It's starting to trickle up to the big league level, and next year it should be a flood.
Well, it's always about pitching, and this has been a team that has consistently not had great pitching staffs, and they've used 60 pitchers the last 2 seasons. Wrigley Field, summer comes, the wind blows out, it's not conducive to winning baseball. You've already got a slug there. But when the Cubs won in '84, they had great pitching staff with Sutcliffe anchoring that staff. Eckersley, the year that the Bartman year, they had a good pitching staff. So, you know, the game hasn't changed. You have good pitching and have good defense. You put a moderately effective offensive unit out there, you're going to win ball games.
3-2 to Ruggiano. Well, they had one of the better pitchers in baseball in Jeff Samardzija, and rather than try and pursue a long-term commitment to him, they traded him away and tried to enhance their farm system even more so by bringing a huge prospect in Addison Russell. 3-2 to Ruggiano with 2 on, and he hits one in the air to left field, and Dendecker has it lined up. Tagging at second is Baez. He's going to try for third, and Dendecker's throw goes to second. 2 out and runners at the corner. Well, we've mentioned some of the Cubs prospects, but the guy that they are really excited about is Chris Bryant, the third baseman, who has already hit 40 home runs in the minor leagues this year. That doesn't happen very often.
No, it does not. And I can tell you, I'd like to get his height and weight. Garrett, could you find that for me? Because if someone hits 40 home runs, you're not going to have a field mouse out there. He's going to be a big guy. Oh, we just got from the truck. 6'5", 215. Duh. It's a big kid.
He's at Torero, University of San Diego.
Oh, okay. And how old is he?
22.
So he's going to get bigger. You know, you really don't fill out into a man's body until you're around 28.
I mean, he was just drafted last year, so he's been a pro for just a year. Alcantara takes a curveball low and in, 1-1. Alcantara hit a comebacker his first time up. He's a switch hitter. We saw him batting left-handed last night, right-handed tonight. Cubs got the first 2 men on here in the 4th. He's trying to work around trouble. And he gets the changeup in for a strike, 1-2. Bryant was the 2nd overall pick in the draft last year. It's a nice frame job there by Darno. Probably stole the strike.
You still don't want to get a changeup.
Struck him out. Second strikeout for Neese. And for the second time tonight, the Cubs get the first 2 men on and don't score. at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replays, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Mets.com today. Mets come to bat in the home fourth inning. Travis d'Arnaud leads off. d'Arnaud hit into a forced play and scored a run in the second when the Mets scored all three of their runs. d'Arnaud, Dendecker, and Lagares to bat here in the fourth against Dan Straley, who's making his Cubs debut. Keith mentioned the number of pitchers the Cubs have used the last couple of years. Straley is the 10th pitcher to start for the Cubs this year. They used only 9 all of last year.
Well, he's having a hard time with his curve and off-speed pitch.
The Cubs have a problem in their starting pitching staff in that the guy who they have the most money committed to and the most years committed to is Edwin Jackson, who has been just awful. d'Arnaud pops it up. And angling in is Coghlan, gives way to Alcantara, who makes the catch, one away. Jackson has 2+ years left on a 4-year, $52 million contract. And he's been struggling so badly, they've talked about taking him out of the rotation, which is a hard thing to do when you still owe a guy $26 million for the next 2 years.
Yeah, 6-13. Oh, my word, Garrett. ERA almost a 6. Wow. Well, he walks a lot of people, gets behind. Well, there's Dendecker off to a nice start today. 1 hit, 1 run. Nice change up there. I don't want Dendecker to get pull happy. I want him to use the left field gap, left center field gap. The gap to gap hitter. I like his swing. I like the changes that he's made in his stance. Fast bat.
Snuck one through the hole into right field for a base hit his first time up. Matt is playing his 6th game since returning from the minor leagues. 6 for 19 over that span. Lagares, who had a big hit in the second inning, waiting on deck. Dan Straley last year finished 4th in the American League Rookie of the Year balloting. That's how good a year he had for Oakland. That's a good slider. And he strikes out Dendecker for the second out.
That's the pitch that Dendecker will be watching carefully to see if he's laying off. Wally Backman, when I had the chat with Wally, phone call, said that he was laying off that pitch. Now, we all swing at the bad ones. Down and in, breaking ball out of the strike zone is a tough one to lay off. We've all done it.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Lagares, who hit a long double to right center that hopped over the wall. Drove in a run, the first of the game. And he pops this one up into shallow right. And Ruggiano, who was playing deeper this time, comes in to grab it. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Dan Straley in the 4th. He's retired 8 in a row, but the Mets have a 3-0 lead as we head for the 5th. Lower third of the batting order coming up for the Cubs against John Neese, and we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
You know, Gary, we talk so much about Matt den Dekker at the plate, but we do know one thing. The guy can absolutely play the outfield. Yeah, he's not playing center field like he's used to, but he still can make those grabs. And we saw one of them in left field the other night, 2 nights ago against the Nationals in the top of the 4th inning. A fantastic diving grab where he ranged to his left. And as you'll see, he kind of rolls over his catching hand right there. And it's one of those plays that when you watch it, you just hope that den Dekker doesn't get injured. And it's something that, you know, I talked to Tom Goodwin about because he works with the outfielders on this team. How do you approach that? Do you teach anything about approach to avoid injuries rolling over the wrist? And what Goodwin told me actually was that, no, they do not. And there's a couple of reasons why. First of all, that's a really tough play to practice. And if you practice it, there's a good chance you might get injured. So in practicing preventing injuries, you could injure yourself. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that those things are just such bang-bang plays that it's very difficult to think about where you want to place your hands as Castillo drills this one. And that is out of here. Line drive home run. So it's a 3-1 game right now.
Wellington Castillo, with his 9th home run of the year, gets the Cubs on the board. And he drilled that ball into the Party City deck.
That went out in a hurry. And from our point, my perspective up here, I didn't realize it was going out until den Dekker just didn't even attempt to go back. He was going to. And this ball was a shot. And he's a low ball hitter, out over the plate, fastball. And he got. Watch den Dekker. He knew he had no shot. That's when I realized that ball was going out of here.
It was off the back wall.
That would not have been a home run. That was a great wall of Flushing. That would have been an extra base hit. Think about it.
You know, Wellington Castillo is still a developing player. He's 27. And I kind of compare him to the guy in offensively to the guy in Colorado, Willian Rosario.
Yes.
He's accomplished more, but I wonder whether that's more about the ballpark than anything else. Castillo's got similar power to Rosario.
I haven't seen enough of Valleca goes down on strikes. Upstairs strikeout for Neese. I haven't seen enough of both of them. It seems like Rosario has always been in a hot streak when the Mets have played them. I haven't seen enough of Castillo.
Here's Dan Straley, the pitcher. Let's hear more from Steve.
Well, guys, yeah, den Dekker didn't need to worry about getting injured on that one right there, no doubt about that. But so back to den Dekker a little bit in that particular play. No, they don't practice avoiding injury, but the one thing den Dekker told me, which was kind of interesting, is that you actually do want to roll a little bit on that wrist. The thing you want to prevent doing is planting that hand palm down. You want to almost land on the side and then roll over your body. It's more of a soft landing. So it's something that's really, really bang difficult to make sure you get right and get and avoid the injury on. But it is something that if you do have a chance to think about, you want to land on the side of the wrist and roll over it. That's according to den Dekker.
That is. Steve, I don't know if you saw it. They were running while you were describing that beautifully. They had a visual for the folks at home, and he rolled over, and you tuck your shoulder, and you don't get into shoulder separation issues. Darryl, being tall and lanky, Darryl Strawberry, always had issues coming in on balls because he was so tall and so long-legged. It was difficult for Darryl to roll.
Flores comes in to handle Coughlin's ground ball. So after giving up the home run, Neese retires the next 3. den Dekker, who broke that right wrist, making a catch in spring training last year, handled that one the other night perfectly, no injury. Halfway through at Citi Field, 3-1 New York. Dan Strelly. Flores drove in a pair with a base hit in the second inning when the Mets scored all 3 of their runs, and Strelly misses high for ball 1. Flores, Neese, and Granderson for the Mets in the 5th.
Big 2 RBIs. It was a 1-0 ball game up to that point.
And a Leonard high strike, 1-1. Flores has also contributed an outstanding defensive play, diving to his right and throwing out Wellington Castillo back in the second. We mentioned that Strelly, as Flores goes down in a heap on that foul ball.
Off his front foot. Oh, off his shin. That hurts.
It'll take a moment to shake off. I mentioned that Strelly finished 4th in the American League Rookie of the Year balloting last year. It was not a big year for American League rookies. Will Myers of Tampa Bay won it, and Jose Iglesias and Chris Archer finished 2nd and 3rd. Whereas in the National League last year, he had Jose Fernandez and Yasiel Puig finishing 1-2. This year it's the other way around. It's the American League that has the wealth of rookie talent with Masahiro Tanaka and, of course, Jose Abreu.
Yep.
And in the National League, lesser pickings, which means that Jacob deGrom, if he can come back and pitch as effectively as he has, still is going to have a chance to win that National League Rookie of the Year. Bounce toward third, backing off Valleca, and the long throw gets Flores for the first out. But it's still a tribute to Staley and how good a year he had for Oakland last year. 27 starts and that much consideration in the AL Rookie of the Year ballot.
Yeah, but Myers ran away with it, really.
Of course, Myers has been hurt all year. So is Iglesias. Archer's pitched well, and Strelly spent most of the year in the minors. It was a call strike to Neese, who tried to sacrifice and lined out his first time up. I think right now Billy Hamilton probably has the edge in the National League Rookie of the Year consideration. But you look at his overall numbers, and Hamilton is hardly having a great year. He's just stolen a lot of bases, which is kind of what everybody expected. 44 steals for the Reds. What a nice center field, but his on-base percentage is hovering right around 300 or just underneath. Mets have not had a Rookie of the Year since Doc Gooden in 1984.
Well, we see more hitters doing it. We talked about it last night, Gary. I never felt that I could get a timing mechanism in the on-deck circle, let alone would never think about it. In the dugout, in our dugouts, when we play, we're much closer to home plate. We had a much greater angle to look at the pitcher and get a semi-quasi idea of what he was throwing, how hard. The dugouts today are so much closer to the first baseline that you almost got a right angle. So you see David's really trying to get timing going. I mean, he's struggling, and you can see the frustration in his face. He's not happy with his performance and how he's hit this year, particularly of late, even though he just had a 14-game hitting streak?
13-game hitting streak, but one extra base hit in the 13 games. It's not as though he's producing the way he expects to. So Strelly's retired 10 in a row after giving up the 3 runs in the second, and now will face Granderson, who hit one to the fence in center field his last time up that Alcantara ran down. And a good changeup by Strelly. 0-2. Curtis has now gone 77 at bats since his last home run. The ball he hit in the second inning came about as close as he has in that stretch. Now the 1-2. Got him looking at the off-speed pitch. So Granderson is struck out for the second time tonight. 4 strikeouts for Straley, who's now retired 11 in a row. 3-1 Mets after 5. %% off Mets tickets for games now through Monday. Log on to Mets.com/strikeouts to take advantage of this offer. Javier Baez leads off for the Cubs in the 6th inning. John Neese with a 3-1 lead. Give up a home run to Wellington Castillo in the 5th. Baez has the only other hit for the Cubs, a single to center to start the 4th. And that big wind-up swing. He takes ball 1 for strike 1. Baez, Rizzo, and Castro 2, 3, and 4 in the Chicago order. And there the curveball is bounced, and that's the place to pitch it.
Either 2 ways. Bounce this big sweeper down in the dirt, and then you can go upstairs out of the strike zone in his eyes and see if he fishes.
I mean, he has shown no evidence that he has any discernment as far as what to swing at.
Yeah, they got the right idea. That's too high for anybody to swing at.
Anthony Rizzo on deck, then Starlin Castro.
There you go.
Arno retrieves, and the strikeout is complete. That's 5 of them for Neese tonight. I mean, you see it all the time with kids coming up to the big leagues and having some instant success. But when you look at a guy like Baez, and the Mets have gone to school pretty quickly, and they're going to keep doing that until he lays off that pitch. How hard is it for a young player like that to develop the discipline that he's going to need to be successful?
Well, it's a fine line reining in hitters, young hitters, and you don't want to take away their aggressiveness, but if he doesn't have success, he's going to find himself in the unemployment line and looking for another work. So it's all about, I mean, he's only, remember, he came into the game only hitting 245. It's not like he's hitting 300 or over in his 4 home runs in his first 11 games. So he's a guy that's all or nothing. Look at Julio Franco. He reminds me of Julio Franco, and Julio Franco was a tough strikeout. So we'll see if he makes the adjustments.
Now, I didn't see Julio Franco much early in his career, but was he wailing at balls in the dirt and over his head?
Well, he was always a free swinger, and I never saw him early in his career, but he certainly made himself into a very good hitter.
Yes, he did. And lasted a long time.
Yes, he did.
In fact, Julio was back at it playing in the minor leagues this year, in his 50s. Duda handles the ground ball from Rizzo, and there are 2 out.
I always liked that pitch against left-handers from John. And he developed that around 2-3 years ago. Started throwing a little sinker down and into lefties. Gets under the bat.
Now Starlin Castro with 2 out and nobody on. Castro's grounded into a double play and fly to center. Cubs were held to 2 runs and 4 hits last night. Just 1 run and 2 hits so far tonight. And the curveball at the feet of Castro for ball 1. Who's Hot brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better. Castro starting the night with a 14-game hitting streak. Second longest in the National League right now. And a curveball for a strike, 1-1.
John Neese asking for d'Arnaud to come out and have a chat. Interesting after that pitch.
They threw 2 straight curveballs to Castro. Bounced the first one, got the second one in for a strike.
So John right now in this game, complete contrast to his start against the Phillies, where he went 7 innings, 2 runs, 5 hits, was it 3 walks, and was struggling with his stuff. Tonight, he's built on that and is in complete control here. Really looking sharp.
1-2 to Castro, and he got him swinging on the curveball. d'Arnaud has to find it. And good footwork by Duda at first base to help him out. 6 strikeouts for Neese, 2 in that inning as he takes care of the Cubs. 1-2-3. 3-1 Mets in the 6th. Kia retailers. Visit TriStateKiaDealers.com to learn more. Mets come to bat in the home 6th inning, leading 3-1. 2, 3, and 4 in the batting order. Murphy, Wright, and Duda against Dan Straley, who was called up to make a spot start tonight, his Cubs debut, and has done okay so far. He's retired 11 straight after giving up 3 runs in the second, and throws a first pitch curveball for a strike to Murphy. Daniel was struck out and grounded out tonight, 0 for 2. Mets facing a pitcher tonight in Straley, who grew up in Oregon, was cut from his high school baseball team, did not have a Division I team that wanted him on their squad. Backhanded by Rizzo, and he'll make the play himself to retire Murphy. He went to Western Oregon University, walked on there, and then transferred a across the country to Marshall in West Virginia, part of the Thundering Herd, walked on there. Now that doesn't sound like a guy who's going to have a big league career, does it?
No. Perseverance.
24th round draft pick by the A's, so he's a guy who's had to fight uphill his entire life as a baseball player. David Wright 0 for 2. He's flying to right and flying to center. Bailing out of that curveball, he takes a strike. Lucas Duda waits on deck. Waving at that slider, 1-2.
That's been David's issue against the right-handers, just not staying in. That ball was meant to go upstairs out of the strike zone. He saw the high target and it was right down the pipe. David fouled it back. Here comes a slide ball.
And he lays off that one, 2-2. That's wearing their alternate blue uniforms tonight. That Mr. Med logo on the sleeve. That's a big logo.
Well, the body compared to the head.
Well, Mr. Med looks very happy. Here's a 2-2. Oh, and David is hit. Got him in the back. 87-mile-an-hour fastball from Straley that he never had a chance to get out of the way of.
Well, they want to come inside. This was unintentional. And he just gets him in the left shoulder blade.
Ramirez, the trainer, greets David at first base to make sure he's okay. He's more annoyed than anything else. Australia had retired 12 in a row before hitting right. Now the Mets have a one-out base runner for Lucas Duda. No action in the Cubs bullpen. Straley's been holding his own. Duda has drawn a walk and fouled out to third, 0 for 1. And they put on the full shift against Lucas.
And not playing on the outfield, out in the outfield, because they want to turn 2. You probably could move Baez back deeper, maybe 10 feet on the grass, and then as an infielder, you know, on a ground ball, you have to come hard after it to turn the pair.
Change up outside, 2-0. And that'll draw a visit from Wellington Castillo. Australia trying to make a positive impression on his new team. He came in that deal for Jeff Samardzija. He was kind of the throw-in that trade. Addison Russell, the young shortstop, was the linchpin of the deal. With Samardzija and Jason Hamill both going to Oakland. Samardzija's been fine so far for the A's. Hamill has not. Took it on the chin again last night from the Braves. 2-0 to Duda, and a check swing, and he went around. Greg Gibson, the third base umpire, with the call. 2-1.
2-0 change. Lucas, look at him right on top of the plate also. I didn't realize that Lucas stands so close to the plate. No, he's pitching Lucas like he's Babe Ruth.
Well, with the hot streak that Lucas put together for about 6 weeks, we've seen him pitch differently lately. Right at first and 1 out, 3-1 to Duda with d'Arnaud on deck. And it's too high, ball 4. Second time Duda's been walked tonight. The only 2 walks that Straley's given up. And the Mets have 2 men aboard.
Nope. They're pitching Lucas more carefully now. He's the one really lone power bat in the lineup. And that's going to get Chris Bosio, former Milwaukee Brewers starter back in the day.
And really, that's been the concern for the Mets all year, right? They brought in Curtis Granderson, who they thought would hit home runs for them, and Curtis had a pretty good 2-month stretch there, but he's at 15 on a pace for about 20. We got David Wright, who's been a 30 home run guy, who's at 8. They brought in Chris Young, hoping that he'd hit home runs. He had 8 before they released him, and that's left Duda as the only real power threat in the lineup. The Mets are 3rd from the bottom of the National League in home runs.
Well, everybody knows that the Mets need a 1 bat, preferably 2 bats. I don't know where they're going to find them in the offseason. Wesley Wright, the lone left-hander in that Cub bullpen up. I would think that Sandy and his crew are going to be thinking hard on who they're willing to exchange.
Well, also,
for a bat.
Also, where do you get power? Power is right now the most difficult commodity to obtain. You know, the White Sox made what turned out to be an incredible deal with Jose Abreu coming out of Cuba, and he's hit 31 home runs already this year in his rookie year. But you don't find too many power bats just lying around. That's why the Cubs are so excited about this Chris Bryant.
Or you don't find too many hitters right now this year. I haven't seen them.
Here's d'Arnaud with 2 aboard, and he hits the one into left field, a base hit. Right to third. He's going to be held up there as Coghlan gets it into the cutoff man, and the Mets have the bases loaded with 1 out.
Well, we're going to see the replay on d'Arnaud's hit. This is how you hit a hanging slider. You keep that shoulder in, and that breaks right into your bat. Good rip. Straley's lucky he wasn't rubbing up a new one. Good hitting by d'Arnaud, who continues to perform.
So the Mets have their 4th hit of the night, and now the base is loaded with 1 out for Den Decker, who has one of the Mets' 4 hits. Matt singled to right and scored a run in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th.
Tough man to double up. In at the corners. Rizzo halfway, backing up. He has a chance on a slow roller to go home.
And Den Decker takes wide for ball 1.
Always love to go 1-0, Gary, on a secondary pitch with the pitcher in trouble. Here with the bases loaded. Now what are you going to do? He throws you another one and it's in a good spot. You just spit on it. You're 1-1.
Den Decker swinging over the changeup, 1-1.
And a good 1-1, really not to swing at. It's one just to let go. Look at that. It's a good spot. It's not a pitch that you want to hit, so take it. But when you're young, you get a little anxious. That comes with being a veteran. Can't be instantly taught.
So Straley, after throwing 2 changeups in a row, comes inside with the fastball and misses 2-1.
So in this chess game right here of batter and pitcher, and really Straley's outing is hanging in the balance right here. Den Decker can break this game wide open. He's in the catbird seat right now, 2-1. Don't get over anxious on an off-speed pitch. Up the middle. There you go. Now you're even better.
Now it's 3-1, and he's got no place to put him.
He's got to throw a fastball, and pitchers will always go away when they're in trouble. That's their comfort. They don't think they can get hurt away. Well, if you're going to go up the middle, a nice little gap to left center empties the bases.
Big hole on the left side of the infield as well for Den Decker. You saw Fujikawa, the right-hander, join Wright, the left-hander. It's so confusing that Wright is a left-hander in the Cubs bullpen. Bases loaded, 1 out. Mets up 3-1 in the 6th. 3-1 count to Den Decker. And he walked him to force in a run. Wright comes in to score, and it's 4-1 New York.
And that should be all. Nice at bat by Den Decker. And that's going to be it for Straley.
Second walk in the inning, 3rd of the night for Straley. So Straley, who retired 12 in a row before hitting David Wright with a pitch, never retired another batter. Mets have added a run here in the 6th, and Straley will exit with the bases loaded. Call to the bullpen brought to you by McDonald's. There's something for everyone to love at McDonald's. 4-1 Mets in the 6th. We'll be right back. For the Cubs, and with him his interpreter comes in from the bullpen with him. Now here's what I don't understand. Every Japanese player who comes to the big leagues, you look at Fujikawa's numbers just back from Tommy John surgery, they bring an interpreter with them. How come the Spanish speaking players don't get interpreters to go to the mound with them? How come only the Japanese players seem to? Is there a difference in the rules, or teams just don't opt to have an interpreter? Like Rafael Montero is going to pitch tomorrow for the Mets. Speaks almost no English. Shouldn't he have an interpreter come to the mound with him the way Fujikawa does?
You make a good point, Gare. I'm of the impression that the Japanese players come over here, they're stars, they play in their big leagues, and I really feel they're a little bit got a little bit of the prima donna in them.
But the rules are the rules, right?
Well, I don't,
we'll have to investigate.
I'm fine
that
with
further.
it, to be honest with you. It's okay with me.
I mean, there are some American guys who I have trouble understanding. Maybe they should have interpreters too.
I play with a few.
Here's Lagares with the bases loaded and 1 out. Lagares hit a long ground rule double to drive and run in the 2nd. Mets with a chance to break this game open, leading at 4-1 in the 6th. Duda at 3rd, Darno at 2nd, Den Decker at 1st. Bases full of D's.
Looking fastball first pitch here. There you go. Take a rip.
Fujikawa, just his 4th appearance after coming back with Tommy John surgery.
Well, this could be an awful outing for awful numbers if these runners come in. Lagares And a chance to break this game wide open. Fujikawa with a big split finger. It's his out pitch.
Strelly, an interested observer after 5 1/3 innings tonight. Allowed 4 hits, 3 walks, hit a batter, struck out 4. And Lagares takes a fastball that misses. Ball and a strike. Wilmer Flores on deck. Lagares and Flores, the 7 and 8 hitters, had the big hits in the second inning. Straley hit David Wright in the back with a pitch. He walked Duda. D'Arnaud got a base hit, and then he walked Dendecker with the bases loaded to force in a run. And Lagares golfs one toward right center. Over comes Alcantara, and it's off his glove, rolling away. Duda scores. D'Arnaud heading home. He'll score. Dendecker will stop at third. In at second base is Lagares, and the Mets now have a 6-1 lead. Well, Alcantara, the former shortstop, converted to the outfield. He's been playing very well out there, but that's a ball that should have been caught and was not.
Good hitting by Lagares. Middle end down, going up the middle. That ball's got to be caught right there. And there you go. You got an infielder playing in the outfield. And that's going to cost the Cubs there off the tip of his glove. Now let's check out D'Arnaud here. He's halfway. Nice read. That's the way to do it. He could have gone back. Ball's not caught. He scores. Well done.
Now, they've scored in an error all the way, but they should also give Lagares credit for a sacrifice fly, shouldn't they?
Yes.
Wasn't the run going to score anyway? Now they're going to intentionally walk Flores. And now the scorer just said that they are going to add a sacrifice fly. So it's an E8 sacrifice fly for Lagares.
No at bat.
So 1 run scores on the sac fly, 2nd run scores on the error, and that's the Cubs' first error in their last 6 games.
Oh, Jonathan Neese now got a lot of breathing room.
So now the Mets have reloaded the bases on the intentional walk to Flores. And Neese with an at bat with the bases full. Dendecker now at third, Lagares at second, and Flores at first. 3 runs home here in the 6th. The Mets' second 3-run inning of the night. Neese is 0 for 2. And John bounces one down to first. Out at first. Rizzo throws home. The slide by Dendecker, and he's safe. Got the hand in on the plate, and it's 7-1 New York. Terrific base running by Dendecker to get around Castillo and score the run. And the Mets have scored 4 in the 6th. Give Neese an RBI, his 4th of the year.
Now, I don't fault Rizzo for going this way, although you've got to know your base runners. Dendecker's new in the league. You don't know how fast he is. Boy, that is a decision you got to make. I mean, you've got to cut the lead runner off. Castillo does the right thing by going out in front to get the ball. I mean, originally it was going to be a forced play at the plate.
Right, if he throws home immediately, he has the force, and it's an easier play for Castillo, but Rizzo took off the force when he stepped on first. They'll bring in the left-hander to face Granderson. Wesley Wright coming in, called to the bullpen, brought to you by McDonald's. There's something for everyone to love at McDonald's. We'll be right back to Citi Field. straight night.
Yes, he is. Gary, you were correct. Had 1 inning work last night and walked the first 2 hitters he faced. Got a bad base running fly ball double play where Flores got doubled off and got out of the inning basically with no runs. You see his numbers there. Always been better against right-handers than left-handers, as the batting averages, the splits indicate.
Fujikawa got unlucky. The drop by Alcantara. And then the play by Rizzo. You know, Rizzo was so quick making that play at first base and threw the ball in rhythm, but just the fact that he took off the force by stepping on first.
It's a do or die play. I've done that before, and you've got to know how far the runner's down the line. If there's any doubt in your mind that you can't get him at home on the tag, you got to get the force out.
Granderson, the 9th man up in the inning, faced right last night, hit a fly ball to left field that resulted in the double play Keith described. Grounds 1 for Baez, and that finally puts an end to the inning, but not before the Mets score 4 in the bottom of the 6th and break the game open. 7-1 New York as we go to the 7th. Bank, America's most convenient bank. Mets putting up a couple of crooked numbers, 3 in the 2nd and 4 runs on only 1 hit in the 6th. Well, the Mets got that rally started with David Wright getting hit by a pitch, and David has come out of the game. Eric Campbell taking over at third base. Here's the pitch that hit David again.
Got him in the shoulder blade.
So he has come out. Campbell's replaced him. John Neese continues on and throws a curveball inside to Justin Ruggiano as we start the 7th inning. The Mets with 7 runs on only 4 hits tonight. The Cubs 1 run and 2 hits. Ruggiano hits one in the air to deep center field. Lagares back to the warning track, looks up, and it's out of here.
Wow.
A lengthy home run off the bat of Justin Ruggiano, his 5th of the year, and the Cubs' 2nd home run of the night. And now it's 7-2 New York.
That was a moonshot and a bomb. Wow.
Well, I think it shocked Lagares, who was late getting back on it. Turned out it didn't matter, but Ruggiano hit the tar out of this ball.
This is called hitting the stuffing, the tar, the dog out of it. You name it.
That young man tried to catch the ball with his hat.
He got it off the chest, hoping not the chin. Oh, he got it in the chin.
And a base hit for Alcantara, as he's on base for the first time tonight. So back-to-back hits off John Neese.
Well, John's got to now with the big lead not let it get away from him.
John's now allowed 5 home runs in his last 3 starts. After giving up just 7 in his first 19 starts this year, Buddy Carlisle quickly to work in the Mets bullpen. Well, here's Castillo, hit the first home run. Both the home runs for the Cubs tonight have been well struck. Castillo's was more of a line drive, and he hits another line drive, this one for a base hit. So 3 straight hits on 4 pitches.
Bullets.
Given up by Nice to start this 7th inning.
And that might get Dan Warthen to get out there and have a little chat. And there comes Dan and get someone up in that bullpen. The Mets have already had someone up. They're not caught sleeping.
So Warthen will buy some time for Carlisle in the bullpen. So Nice staked to a 6-run lead, and all of a sudden 3 bullets in a row. And Vic Black's going to join Buddy Carlisle in the bullpen. We got the number 8 hitter Valaika at the plate, and the pitcher spot due next. Ryan Sweeney out on deck to bat for him. It's an all left-handed bench for the Cubs tonight. They only have 3 reserves. They were going with 13 pitchers to begin with. Then they called up Straley and sent Junior Lake to the minors. So now they have 14 pitchers on their roster. Probably only a one-day thing. Straley will probably go back to the minors. And the Cubs are expected to call up outfielder Matt Caesar tomorrow.
And no left-hander up in the bullpen for the Metropolitans.
Chris Valaika 0 for 2, and he taps one foul. Carlos Villanueva is up in the bullpen for the Cubs. Well, with an all left-handed bench, figure Nice will at least get the pinch hitter, and then you have another left-hand hitter, Coughlin, behind him. First and second, and nobody out. And Valaika lifts one down the right field line. Over in the corner goes Granderson, sliding, and he could not hang on. Great attempt by Granderson. It's a foul ball all the way. The runner, Alcantara, came all the way around, thinking maybe that ball was fair. Great effort by Granderson.
And Curtis has played this wall for his first year as a Met. You can sprain your ankle there, you can get hurt, but he played it properly. He's been terrific.
Ball never went in his glove, but he tried to catch it with his stomach and his lap, and it just trickled away. So Valaika gets a life with an 0-2 count. Alcantara at second, Castillo at first, and nobody out. He's at 90 pitches for the night. John threw 107 in his last start, and the curveball's pulled foul. He's got through 7 his last time out in Philadelphia, allowed 2 runs and 5 hits in that game. That was a 5-3 win for him. Here his team has gotten him 7 runs, and he's trying to wind his way through this 7th against the bottom part of the order. And so far it's not going well. A home run and 2 singles to start the inning.
Well, I liked keeping Nice in and work through this inning.
And Valaika takes one up the middle for a base hit. Alcantara to third. He'll be held up there against the strong arm of Lagares, who gets it in on the fly to Darno. The third base coach, Gary Jones, almost had to tackle Alcantara coming around third base.
Well, we've seen Jonathan have his big inning problems again, time and time again, and having a hard time getting out. I think right now Terry probably is kicking himself for not having either Evelyn or Edgin up. I mean, this was like lightning, 4 straight base hits. Home run in the first one, and all hit hard.
So now bases loaded and nobody out. Alcantara at third, Castillo at second, and Valaika at first. Ryan Sweeney, the pinch hitter. Sweeney started in right field last night, went 0 for 3 and a walk. No right-handed bats available on that Cubs bench, so Sweeney gets the pinch hitting assignment and takes a strike. He's trying to find his balance here in the 7th. He had given up just 2 hits through the first 6 innings, but 4 straight hits to start the 7th.
Only 21 at bats for Sweeney against lefties this year. Nice 286 batting average. 6 for 21, 1 extra base hit.
He bounces the curveball 2-1. And you know, you see these expressions on John's face from time to time, that great look of frustration where he's just unable to find his way out of the woods. Chris Coghlan, another left-hand hitter to follow.
And Sweeney bangs one off Neese. It caroms out to Campbell, who has no play. A run scores. It's now 7-3.
And Neese got drilled.
I have no idea where that got him. On the shoulder?
He looked at his right arm. Not sure if that's where it hit him. Terry Collins is going to come out and look. He's looking at his right arm, his non-pitching arm.
Oh, I think it got in his wrist on his glove hand. Let's see. Yep,
yeah,
forearm.
Right off the outside of the forearm. And that's going to be all for Neese. Now, it's the second time he's had to leave a game after being struck by a ball this year. He might have been coming out anyway. But hit hard on that darn throwing arm. 5 straight hits for the Cubs to start this 7th inning. 2 runs home. And they'll have the tying run to the plate here in the 7th with Vic Black coming in, trying to stop the bleeding. Call to the bullpen brought to you by McDonald's. There's something for everyone to love at McDonald's. Hitter, but he gave up 5 straight hits to start this inning. The last run struck him on the right wrist. Doesn't appear to be going for treatment, so that doesn't appear to be the issue. Vic Black will come in with the bases loaded and nobody out.
And that earned run average is all of it, too. He has been spectacular. His walks have been down of late. Now, that 15 walks was there a lot earlier. He has been throwing strikes. Throwing his fastball more. He is the 7th inning guy to hands off to Familia, and I'm telling you, if you use Familia 2-3 days in a row, or he has a particularly long outing, I have no issue with Vic Black giving him a spell and being the bridge to Mejia.
Castillo is the runner at third, Valleca at second, and Sweeney at first. 2 runs are home in the inning. Nobody out. Chris Coghlan the batter. He's the tying run at the plate in a game that the Cubs started this inning trailing by 6 runs.
Well, double play depth. I think you might want to get Murph back a couple steps.
Block faced 1 batter last night and struck out Javier Baez in a big spot in the 7th inning. And here he is in the 7th inning again in a big circumstance. Coghlan 0 for 3 tonight, reached on an error back in the first. He's already hit into 1 double play tonight and a check swing tapper foul. 0-1. So Neese threw 96 pitches, threw 12 pitches in the 7th inning and gave up 5 hits. That's fast work.
5 hits, and the Cubs only have 2 runs to show for it. Last inning, half inning, the Mets had 4 runs, only 1 hit to show for it. Go figure.
Hey, You never know. Coughlin lashes one out to left. Dendecker in front of it. Castillo tagging at third. He'll stay right there. Looked like he was going to come. Dendecker was conceding the run and throwing to third.
Oh my God!
But Castillo is not fleet and didn't want to take a chance.
Can we see that again? I want to see the third base coach, what he was doing on this play. If he was held. I don't believe this. He's. Oh my word!
I mean, Dendecker was conceding the run and throwing to third.
That is. Oh well.
So that's the first out of the inning.
We'll take a look at the third base coach here.
That's Gary Jones. He didn't make any signal at all.
He's got to help.
So now Baez, who's 1 for 3 tonight, bases loaded, 1 out.
There's one thing I found out. If you're a first or third base coach, you can't take anything for granted. That these guys know what they want, what they're supposed to do.
Well, especially if you have as young a team as the Cubs. I mean, Castillo's he's been around 3 or 4 years, but most of this Cubs team is very, very young.
Number one, you're going to assume right now that and I'm going to get real detailed here if I had a chance. As there's the big swing from Baez. The fly ball is the left field. The runner on second base is not going to advance. He's not. He has no chance. So as the third base coach, you don't have to pay attention to the runner on second base. You come down halfway down the line towards home plate, and you tell him to tag up, and then you give him. You're the guy bringing the aircraft in on the aircraft carrier.
Right. You don't want your runner at third looking over his shoulder. 1-1 to Baez. Another curveball. This one's popped up. Infield fly rule called. Duda squeezes it, and Black has gotten 2 big outs after coming into a bases loaded jam.
Well, now he's got the big out here and their big bat in Rizzo. Grand slam ties the ball game here. 27 home runs, this man.
Rizzo's 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. 0 for 5 in the series. Carlos Villanueva will be coming on in the bottom of the inning for the Cubs. Black stepped into a bases loaded, nobody out jam. He's gotten the first 2 outs without any further scoring. And now Rizzo takes a fastball for a strike. 97 from Black. Well, he's not only hit 27 home runs, he's hit important home runs. Vic Black has only given up 1 home run this season. Serious gas from Black, and he's ahead 0-2.
Talk about bailing out your starting pitcher. This would be quite a performance if he can get this out.
He's ahead 0-2 on Anthony Rizzo. Popped up. Flores has it lined up. Side retired. Vic Black comes in with the bases loaded and nobody out, and he keeps the Cubs from scoring any further. Nice gives up 5 straight hits to start the 7th, starting with Ruggiano's home run and ending with Ryan Sweeney's line drive off his wrist. But Black does strong work, and it's 7-3 New York at the 7th inning stretch.
gratitude. He stranded 3 more runners in that outing in the 7th inning. He's now stranded 21 of 22 this year, and that puts him right near the top of the National League in runners stranded.
Well, that was just a splendid job. And the veteran Carlos Villanueva pitched with Milwaukee, Toronto, now with the Cubs. Last year had 15 starts with the Cubs, but primarily a reliever.
That sent 9 men to the plate in the 6th inning. Daniel Murphy led off the 6th by grounding out. He'll start the 7th as well. Murphy's 0 for 3 tonight. Campbell and Duda to follow in the home 7th. Dan Strelly went the first 5 1/3 for the Cubs. He was charged with all 7 runs. 5 of them earned on 4 hits, 3 walks, and a hit batsman. Yuji Fujikawa got 1 out, and so did Wesley Wright. And now Villanueva in the 7th. Campbell took over for David Wright after David was hit in the back in the last inning. So he's in the 3 hole in the lineup. .30-year-old Carlos Villanueva, Milwaukee, Toronto, and now in his 2nd year with the Cubs. And he gets the fastball in for a strike. 1-2. And Murphy slashes 1 foul. One-two coming. Bounces one in. 2-2. Two to Murphy. And he lines one right to the third baseman, Valleca, who is playing in the perfect spot. 1 away. So 1 out and nobody on. Now Eric Campbell will come up for the first time, and we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Well, Eric Campbell was the hero of last night's game, but even after that big home run, no one's going to exactly confuse him with a power hitter anytime soon. That being said, Terry Collins said if there was any bit of power he could add to his game, he would be a very tough player to take out of the lineup on an everyday basis. And it's something that Campbell is aware of. I spoke to him about it today, and he said, you know, listen, I think I can be an everyday player in this league the way I currently am, but I do know that adding power to my game will help my cause. Now, the question is it something that he wants to do? And if so, how does he go about doing it? He said he's not the type of player that you can just put on 10 pounds and really maybe grow into a frame a little bit, because he's never been a power hitter on any level of baseball. What he would have to do is change his entire approach at the plate. And what that means, what he said it means, is selling out earlier in counts to try and drive that ball out of the ballpark. Again, is it something he wants to do? You risk losing the type of player that has made you as successful as you are. It's kind of a darned if you do, darned if you don't, but it's an interesting dilemma for Eric Campbell moving forward, who certainly wants to be an everyday player in this league.
Valleca throws out Campbell for the second out. Jerry's familiar up in the Mets bullpen. Well, you really don't want a guy to change his approach to
not early in his career.
No.
I mean, it's just the people that are making decisions in this game are just in love with. They're playing old American League baseball. You know, base at a time and a 3-run home run. Is this ballpark conducive to home runs? Garrett?
I don't think so. Unless you're the Washington Nationals.
Mark Reynolds.
Yeah. Or Lucas Duda, who can hit him anywhere. Duda's walked twice tonight and fouled out 0 for 1. Batting here with 2 out and nobody on. I mean, I go back to a guy like Dave Magadan, right? I mean, basically Eric Campbell would love to be a right-handed version of Dave Magadan, a guy who hits line drives.
He has a little more pop than Dave. A little more. Well, did Dave have power?
Not much, but I don't know how much Campbell has either. I mean, but they're about the same size, right? They're both big guys who've never hit for power in their careers. I mean, Dave hit .328 one year, finished 3rd in the league in hitting.
That was the year after I left. It was 90. Had the big year.
Well, remember, it wasn't supposed to be his job. It was Mike Marshall they brought in, the former Dodger, to play first base, and Magadan took the job.
I was suffering up in Cleveland.
Yeah, I know. You weren't paying attention to what was going on here. 2-2 to Duda, but actually it was a series at Wrigley Field. The Mets scored like 40 runs in 3 games, and Magadan had a huge part of that. And that's when it was in early June, I think, and he took the job from Marshall and ran with it. Two from Villanueva, and Duda takes it wide, full count. Always remember that series because Doug DeCenzo, remember him, the outfielder, came in to pitch for the Cubs with the score like 19-8, and it was an afternoon game at Wrigley Field, 9th inning. Everybody was still there, and they gave him a standing ovation. It was fantastic. Just, you know, one of those Wrigley Field kind of days. Cubs are getting blown out, and everybody's still totally into the ball game. Duda walks for the 3rd time tonight. So the Mets, who drew 7 walks last night, have drawn 5 more tonight. And now Travis d'Arnaud, who's 1 for 3. Travis was right in the middle of that 4-run 6th inning with a base hit to left field. That loaded him up. Dendecker was hit by a pitch, and the Mets wound up scoring. Dendecker was walked with the bases loaded, and the Mets wound up scoring 4. And the curveball from Villanueva in for a strike. Well, when the Mets draw 5 or more walks, they tend to win. I guess most teams do.
Yeah,
23-9 when they draw 5 or more.
Yeah, but if you got a good big league staff, you're not going to walk 5-7 people. Was there 7 walks last night?
7 last night.
Yep, and that's not going to get it done.
Slow ground ball for Baez, and he takes care of d'Arnaud to end the inning. We've played 7 now at Citi Field. Mets 7, Cubs 3. Familia coming in. Now through September 2nd. Jeff Locke and the Pirates have a 3-0 lead on the Nats. That game is now in the middle of the 8th. The Braves, who beat the A's last night, ahead 4-2 again tonight. That game's at the top of the 7th. And a marquee pitching matchup. Felix Hernandez has given up more than 2 runs. First time in 17 starts that's happened. And the Tigers lead the Mariners 4-1. Imagine that, 16 straight starts. He won at least 7 and gave up 2 runs or less. Jerry's Familia on to pitch the 8th for the Mets.
Well, Familia had a easy time of it. 1 walk last night in a otherwise clean inning with 2 strikeouts. Pretty much overmatched Cub hitters, and they were the teeth. Struck out Rizzo and Starling Castro looking.
Next Saturday, the Mets are in L.A. You can catch it on New York's Pix 11. The Mets take on the Dodgers Saturday, August 23rd at 9 p.m. here on Pix 11. Let me amend that on Felix Hernandez. He only gave up 2 runs tonight, but he only pitched 5 innings. So that streak comes to an end nonetheless.
Oh, how cute.
Some of the Saturday night crowd here for the game and the concert to follow. Boys to Men will be in concert after the game tonight.
Pestering Dad.
Oh, always. Dad doesn't mind. Little girl can do no wrong. Right?
Well, to a point.
Here's Starling Castro to lead off the 8th inning against Familia. Jerry's pitched a clean inning last night. Flores goes in the hole. The long throw, and he gets his shortstop counterpart. Another fine play by Flores, who made an even better one on Castillo back in the 2nd.
Well, good presence of mind here from Flores. Big, you mentioned the big full swing from Castro. Slow getting out of the box. He had time to plant and really get something on his throw. Nicely done.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Justin Ricciano. Ricciano homeward, leading off in the 7th inning. A long drive to center field, his 5th of the year. And that was the first of 5 straight hits that John Neese gave up before exiting in that 7th, only to be bailed out by Vic Black.
Prodigious home run. High fastball out over the plate, and it was a moonshot, and that kid misjudged it. I hope he's not hurt. That was a bomb.
Arizmendi Alcantara on deck. And there's a fastball, strike 1 and 2. We haven't heard any further word on David Wright, other than that he was taken out of the game because he was hit in the back by a pitch. But as to what the nature and extent of the injury might be, I guess we'll have to wait till after the game to find out. And Familia with a slider strikes out Ruggiano for the 2nd out.
Quick work with that wicked razor blade slider. Another term, a nouveau term that I like. It is a razor blade. And it gets so many hitters to chase because it breaks so late, so tight.
Single blade or multi blade?
Well, if it's a slider, it's got to be single edge.
2 out and nobody on. Now Alcantara, who had a base hit his last time up, 1 for 3. Turns around to bat left-handed for the first time tonight, and takes a fastball for a strike. Neese went 6 innings plus, allowed 3 runs, 7 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, 2 home runs. ERA goes up just a tick to 3.50, but he's in line for his 7th win.
He's got to take Vic Black out to dinner. He had the left with the bases loaded, nobody out, and Vic Black just came in with the fire hose.
8 pitches, got 3 pop-ups or fly balls, and he was quickly done.
Well,
that is a serious sink.
It is, and the Cubs are a beautiful team to do that to. They are free swingers, and you can get them to chase all night long.
0-2 to Alcantara. It has always seemed as though the Cubs have been free swinging.
They've lived or died with most of the time that I was around playing with their bats, their offense.
I mean, they've been the exception. I mean, a Mark Race, you know, a couple of guys along the way, but they've been so aggressive for so long.
Billy Buckner.
Right. 1-2. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Familia, and he has himself an easy time of it in a 1-2-3 8th. Middle of the 8th at Citi Field. Saturday night in New York. It's 7-3. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Carlos Villanueva out there for a second inning of relief, worked a hitless 7. He'll face Dendecker, Lagares, and Flores in the bottom of the 8th. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Terry Collins handles the 9th. Henry Mejia has worked back-to-back days. Terry said before the game tonight that he was willing to send Mejia out there a 3rd straight day, but that if he did, he wouldn't have him tomorrow. So in a 4-run game, a non-save spot, would you use him tonight or would you save him?
I would rather not use him. I would rather have someone out there. That Penn's been very good. Hold a 4-run lead, please.
I mean, Familia threw only 9 pitches in the 8th inning. You could easily leave him in to pitch another inning.
I'd rather have him strong for the next 2 day games, particularly tomorrow. 4-run lead, 3 outs, a clean starting an inning fresh.
Harris on deck.
That is not Mejia. That's up in the bullpen.
Dendecker's been on base twice, including the bases loaded walk that forced him to run in the 6th, and it's Buddy Carlisle, who was up a little earlier, who gets up again. Pitcher spot is due up 4th in this inning for the Mets. Keep in mind that Familia is batting 1,000. 2-1 to Dendecker, who had a base hit back in the 2nd. He's driven in a run. He's scored 2 runs tonight. So Dendecker continuing to excel in this brief trial. And he clocks this one to center. Alcantara goes back to get it. 1 out. It's the best way to start your weekday. Join Suki, Corey, and the gang from 5 to 9 on the Pix 11 Morning News, where every story hits home. Here's Lagares, who's had a big night. Doubled in a run back in the 2nd, then hit a sacrifice fly to drive in a run in the 6th. And when the ball was dropped in center field by Alcantara, a 2nd run scored as well. Curveball from Villanueva misses, ball 1. Looking ahead to the ninth inning, the Cubs will have 7, 8, and 9 in the order. Castillo, Valleca, and the pitcher spot. Takes the fastball in tight, 2-1. Tomorrow afternoon, Rafael Montero tries again for his first big league win. It's been puzzling watching Montero so far, especially considering what we saw in spring training and what we had heard about his style of pitching.
I kind of think that we're kind of holding him a little bit too much over a microscope. You know, he's trying to get his feet wet. He's just had the one start back. He struggled the first time out and he got sent down. It took him a while to get back into a groove and pitch well again. You know, let's watch his second start and see how he fares. He's going to get every opportunity.
Yeah, to me, it's less a matter of the results and more a matter of the style. I mean, he's a guy who's been a strike thrower his whole career.
They say he has a great changeup. He certainly didn't use it a whole lot last time out.
It's certainly true.
But just let him get his feet wet. I'm not drawing any conclusions on that guy down there. I like his stuff. I liked him in spring training.
To the right side, Baez in front of it, and throws out Lagares, 2 out. Now to bring up Wilmer Flores, and the play of the game is brought to you by the 2014 Mazda 3 with seamless connectivity.
Well, this would be the defensive play of the game for certain. Nice play in the hole there. Guns down Castillo. Beautiful dive and throw. It gives the first baseman an easy long hop.
So 2 out and nobody on for Flores, who singled in a pair of runs in the second. He's grounded out and been intentionally walked, 1 for 2. Well, Adam LaRoche has struck again. Home run, bottom of the 8th. Nats tie up the Pirates 3-3.
Wow.
The Mets got him going in that series in Washington, and he hasn't stopped since.
He's guy, if he hits it solid, he's not a ballpark that can hold him, and there's the tie score right there.
After Jeff Lockett held the Nats in check. 2-run homer by LaRoche to tie the game. Kirk Neuenhuis on deck. He'll bat for Familia if Flores keeps the inning going. And the very slow curve by Villanueva. That was under radar gun speed. No number registered on the radar gun. And a check swing tapper. Villanueva off the mound.
Nice.
And good footwork by Rizzo, and they get Flores at first base. So 2 hitless innings for Villanueva. Now the game goes to the 9th with the Mets up 7-3. Recap brought to you by Honda. Start something special with a great deal on a Honda. The Mets in front in this game, but it's been a painful night. David Wright hit in the shoulder blade by a pitch, had to come out. And Jonathan Neese, last pitch he threw, he got hit on the right wrist or forearm by that line drive. And he came out of the game.
So the Mets are walking wounded here, been under artillery barrage, and out hit 7-4. And leading by 4. So 7-3 ball game here, and Carlisle coming in to, I can't say mop up, but 4-run lead. All you need, you're starting an inning clean, should be able to close the door.
Well, the word on David Wright, they're calling it posterior shoulder soreness.
Well, he's got a bruise.
Well, if they say soreness, that means they don't think anything's broken.
Right.
That's
so it hit
good.
him. It hit him below the shoulder, right in between the shoulder and the upper shoulder blade, and it would be his left side.
Well, Henry Mejia is standing around and just doing some tossing just in case he's needed, but he's not going to air it out unless Carlisle gets in trouble. Wellington Castillo leads off in the ninth. Castillo has homered and singled, 2 for 3. Chris Valaika next, and then probably Luis Valbuena as a pinch hitter. One hopper to Flores at short. Takes his time. Throws out Castillo. 1 down in the ninth.
Well, quick work. Put it in play. You got 8 gloves out there and a 4-run lead. Walks are a sin. A cardinal sin.
Here's Valaika, who's 1 for 3 at a base hit his last time up. Henderson Alvarez came off the disabled list for the Miami Marlins tonight. Went 7 terrific innings. Gave up 5 hits, and the Marlins beat the Diamondbacks 2-1. That gets Miami back to within a game of 500. It's a big reactivation for the Marlins, getting Alvarez back. It's been so good this year. There's Valbuena on deck to pinch hit. Well, the Mets had just 4 hits and 1 last night. They have just 4 hits, and they're 2 outs away from a win tonight. You don't get that very often. But the Mets taking advantage of walks and a hit by pitch and an error. 2-1 to Valaika. And it's fouled down the right side. Duda watches it go in the crowd, and it's 2-2. Now, the bullpen has been perfect so far. Black came into a huge mess in the 7th and got all 3 hitters he faced. Pavilion worked a 1-2-3-8, and Carlisle has set down his first man in the 9th. Cubs 3 runs and 7 hits. The Mets 7 runs and 4 hits. Two coming. Fastball, strike 3 call. Valaika caught looking, 2 down in the 9th.
I don't know what you could be looking for, but he was obviously looking for a breaking ball. So here's a fastball right by you.
So the Cubs are down to their final out. And Luis Valbuena, who made the final out last night, will be the pinch hitter in the 9th inning again tonight.
Valbuena had been slumping.
Just 1 for his last 30.
1 for 15 as a pinch hitter.
He's the regular third baseman for the Cubs, and will probably be back in there tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon.
1 o'clock. And it's a 12 noon start on Monday.
That's correct. Rafael Montero tomorrow against Jake Arrieta. That game will be on SNY. Fastball misses, 1-1 to Valbuena. Montero will be hoping that tomorrow is the day for him. 0-3 in his brief big league career. Valbuena fouls it away. Now the Cubs are down to their final strike. and loosening up their vocal cords, ready for the concert to begin once this game is done. Check swing, and he did not swing. Greg Gibson with the call, and Valbuena still in there. Chris Coughlin would be next.
Two coming. Swing and a miss. He struck him out, and the ball game is over. Buddy Carlisle finishes it off with a 1-2-3 ninth. 9 up and 9 down for the Mets bullpen. John Neese gets a victory. The Mets put together a couple of big innings, and despite only 4 hits, they're able to beat the Cubs for the second straight night, winning 7-3.
Well, the hero of this ball game is Vic Black. Making that man right there very happy, Terry Collins. Vic Black coming in with the bases loaded after Jonathan Neese was given a 7-1 lead to begin the top of the 7th. Gave up a home run, 5 straight base hits. He left the game after the line drive. Vic Black came in with the bases loaded, nobody out, and 1, 2, 3, no more runs scored. So he is the hero of the Wago.
2 RBIs for Wilmer Flores, 2 RBIs for Juan Lagares. The bottom part of the batting order getting the job done as you look at the game summary brought to you by Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Second straight win for John Neese after losing 4 in a row. And for the Mets, after getting swept by the Nats, they've taken the first 2 of this series from the Cubs. They won last night 3-2 with just 4 hits, and they win tonight 7-3, also with just 4 hits in the game. Mets able to celebrate their second straight win over the Cubs. Let's send downstairs to Steve Gelb. Steve?
Thanks, Gary. Here with one of the many heroes of the game tonight. That is Wilmer Flores. And Wilmer, you expressed to me before the game today your confidence that it would turn around for you at the plate. Is today the type of day you expected would happen?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I've been playing a lot more lately, so I have my confidence back. So it was a great win for us tonight.
How much does that help you personally, playing every day, knowing that if you go through a bad stretch, you're going to have another chance the next day to get it going?
I mean, you just have to stay confident and just go out there and play hard every day.
I know you've always been confident in your ability to play shortstop. The second inning, you make an incredible diving stop and finish off the play. Is that the type of play that throughout the rest of the game can boon you and move you forward?
Yeah, that play definitely held my confidence. It was a slow runner, so I had time, and I felt good.
Wilmer, to the other side of the baseball here, we saw what Vic Black did coming in with the bases loaded. This bullpen's been fantastic all season long, but to see a performance like that in that situation, how cool was that for you?
No, I mean, he's got great stuff. The bullpen that we have, it's been amazing lately, and those guys have been doing the job.
Wilmer, congratulations. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Gary, back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Steve, and thanks, Wilmer. Big hit for Wilmer Flores, a 2-run single that put the Mets up 3-0 in the second, and contributed with the glove as well. Mets beat the Cubs 7-3 to take their second straight from Chicago. We'll come back with more from Citi Field in just a moment.